In a world where loneliness is becoming increasingly common, it's important to understand why some people decide to cut others out of their lives. What drives someone to draw a firm line and step away from a relationship? The answers often lie deep within human psychology, shaped by emotions, experiences, and sometimes a need for self-preservation. As we explore this topic, we'll uncover the reasons behind these choices and how they connect to the broader issue of social isolation. Get ready to peek inside the minds of those who choose to walk away, even when everyone seems to be craving connection. Loneliness can feel like being stranded on a deserted island, wishing for company that never arrives. But sometimes, choosing to be alone brings a different kind of experience. For those who intentionally disconnect, solitude becomes a peaceful retreat rather than an empty void. It's the difference between feeling isolated and savoring quiet moments for reflection or creativity. While loneliness aches, intentional solitude can refresh the mind and soothe the spirit. Sometimes, the most reliable person in the group is the one who quietly carries everyone's worries. But over time, even the strongest stick figure can feel stretched a little too thin. There comes a moment when choosing your own peace means stepping away, not out of anger, but with a calm sense of relief. Walking away doesn't always mean giving up. It can mean finally choosing yourself and feeling lighter with every step. Imagine a stick man who always rushes to catch falling problems, juggling worries that aren't even his own. Over time, this cycle becomes exhausting, as each new issue lands squarely on his shoulders. But then something changes. A moment arrives when he simply decides not to reach out for the next problem. Instead, he pauses, letting it pass by, and discovers a surprising sense of relief. Sometimes, choosing not to react is the first step toward feeling lighter and more balanced. Sometimes, stepping back from a situation isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually your nervous system doing its job. When things feel overwhelming, your body might choose to withdraw as a way to protect you. This response is completely natural and helps you stay safe in challenging moments. Recognizing this can make it easier to be kind to yourself when you need a break. After all, even the bravest stick figures know when it's time to pause and regroup. Polyvagal theory helps us understand how our nervous system responds to the world around us. When we feel safe, our bodies encourage social engagement, making it easy to connect and communicate with others. But when we sense danger, our nervous system can shift gears, pulling us away from interaction and into withdrawal to protect ourselves. This automatic switch is all about self-preservation, even if it means missing out on a friendly chat. It's like having an internal security system that decides when it's time to mingle and when it's time to hide. Our brains are surprisingly thrifty when it comes to energy. When relationships start to feel exhausting, the brain steps in to conserve its limited resources. It might make us feel tired, less motivated, or even encourage us to take a step back from social interactions. This is the brain's clever way of protecting itself, making sure it doesn't run out of steam. So, if you ever feel worn out after a tough conversation, remember, it's just your brain doing a little energy-saving dance. Sometimes, the way we see others as threats can be traced all the way back to our childhood. Imagine a stick man growing up in a family where arguments or tension were common. His little round head might learn to expect trouble from others. These early experiences shape how we react, even as adults. Our stick man might flinch when someone raises their voice, not because of the present moment, but because his past taught him to be cautious. Understanding these roots helps us see that our reactions aren't random. They're shaped by the environments we grew up in. Emotional cutoff, a concept introduced by psychologist Murray Bowen, describes what happens when people distance themselves from family or loved ones to manage unresolved emotional issues. Instead of facing difficult feelings, they might avoid contact or suppress their emotions. This often stems from unpredictable love. When affection and support are inconsistent, it can leave lasting confusion and insecurity. Over time, these patterns can make it harder to form close, trusting relationships. Understanding emotional cutoff helps us see why some connections feel strained, and why healing often means facing emotions rather than running from them. Sometimes, growing up means becoming a bit like a detective, always on the lookout for clues about how others are feeling. Kids quickly learn to sense when the air is thick with tension, even if no one says a word. To feel safe, they might choose quiet corners or spend time alone, where things are calm and predictable. This knack for reading the room and seeking solitude helps them navigate their world, one careful step at a time. Sometimes, the way we reacted as kids can sneak back into our lives as adults. For example, if we used to pull away when things felt overwhelming, we might notice the same urge to withdraw when someone gets emotionally close now. It's like our inner stickman wants to tiptoe out of the scene whenever things get a bit too cozy. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to understanding ourselves better. With a little awareness, we can choose new ways to respond, instead of just running for the hills, or the nearest stickman exit sign. Sometimes, the things we do without thinking are actually clever survival blueprints created by our younger selves. These behaviors helped us navigate tricky situations, even if they seem odd or unhelpful now. It's important to remember they're not flaws, but creative solutions from a time when we had fewer tools. By understanding this, we can appreciate our inner stick figure's resourcefulness and maybe even give them a little smile. Sometimes, protecting ourselves is a smart move, like putting on a raincoat before a storm. But if we start building walls so high that nobody can peek over, we might end up feeling isolated. Healthy self-protection means setting boundaries that keep us safe, while still letting others in. On the other hand, blocking all connection can leave us lonely, even if we think we're just being careful. It's all about finding that balance between guarding our hearts and staying open to the world around us. Spending too much time alone isn't just a matter of feeling bored or lonely. It can actually affect your health in surprising ways. Studies have shown that prolonged social isolation can increase your risk of heart disease and even stroke. It's as if your heart and blood vessels miss the company too. Over time, being isolated can put extra stress on your body, making it more vulnerable to serious health problems. So, staying connected isn't just good for your mood, it's important for your heart too. Sometimes, being around the wrong people can feel just as lonely as being by yourself. Negative influences or unsupportive company can drain your energy and make you doubt your worth. It's important to recognize that not all company is good company. Choosing who you spend time with can make a big difference in your happiness and well-being. After all, even a stickman knows it's better to stand alone than with a crowd that pulls you down. Imagine two stick figures, each building something. One piles up a tall, wobbly wall, glancing nervously over their shoulder. This wall is built from fear, meant to keep everything out, but it also traps the builder inside. The other stick figure draws a clear, simple line around themselves, standing tall and smiling. This boundary comes from self-awareness, helping them protect their space while still connecting with others. The difference is that walls isolate, while boundaries empower and invite healthy interaction. Sometimes, after ending a difficult relationship, you might notice a wave of relief or a sense of calm. It's important to recognize these feelings not as signs of loneliness, but as signals that you've protected your well-being. Choosing distance from someone who brings stress or negativity isn't about isolating yourself. It's about creating space for your own peace. Trust those lighter feelings. They often mean you've made a healthy choice. It's important to pause and think about who genuinely deserves a place in your peaceful space. Not everyone should have access to your energy, and that's perfectly okay. By being mindful of the people you let in, you protect your well-being and create room for positive connections. Sometimes, setting boundaries is the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for others. Interestingly, people who cut others off in conversation aren't just acting randomly. They tend to do it selectively, choosing their moments with surprising precision. This behavior is often guided by a kind of refined pattern recognition. They can sense when someone is about to pause, or when the topic is shifting. It's almost like they have a built-in radar for conversational openings. So, while it might seem rude, there's actually a method to their interruptions. Sometimes, we notice a pattern with certain people in our lives. Maybe it's a friend who only calls when they need something, or a family member whose support comes with strings attached. These relationships can leave us feeling tired or even a little used. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to understanding how they affect our energy and well-being. It's like spotting a leaky faucet. Once you see it, you can decide how to fix it. Recent research reveals that people who went through emotional stress early in life often develop a heightened sense of threat detection. Their brains become especially alert, quickly picking up on signals that might indicate danger. This extra vigilance can be helpful in some situations, but it may also lead to feeling anxious or on edge, even when there's no real threat. It's as if their internal alarm system is set to a higher sensitivity, always ready to spring into action. The frontal lobe is like the command center of the brain, especially busy in people with this background. It works overtime, helping to weigh choices and consider the consequences of actions. This extra activity enhances social decision-making, making it easier to read situations and respond appropriately. So, when faced with tricky social scenarios, their brains are already a few steps ahead, guiding them toward thoughtful interactions. Heightened sensitivity isn't the same as paranoia. In fact, it's more like having a finely tuned radar that picks up on subtle signals before anyone else notices. This early warning system helps us respond to changes and potential challenges quickly. Rather than being a flaw, it's a remarkable strength that keeps us alert and prepared. So, being sensitive just means your inner stickman is ahead of the game. Sometimes, you just get a feeling about someone, a little inner alarm that says, this person might leave me feeling exhausted. Trusting that intuition is important. Our brains are pretty good at picking up on subtle cues, even if we can't always explain them. By listening to these signals, we can protect our energy and make better choices about who we spend time with. It's like having your own personal stickman bodyguard waving a flag when something feels off. Sometimes, choosing to spend time alone isn't about being withdrawn or antisocial. It's about being selective. Instead of seeing isolation as a negative label, we can view it as a conscious choice to focus on what truly matters to us. Society often rushes to judge those who prefer solitude, but being selective with our time and energy can be a sign of self-awareness. By redefining isolation in this way, we challenge old stereotypes and open the door to a healthier understanding of personal boundaries. Solitude isn't just about being alone, it's about finding a gentle kind of peace within yourself. Instead of feeling cut off from others, solitude offers a quiet space where your thoughts can stretch out and relax. It's like pressing pause on the world's noise, allowing you to recharge and reflect. In this calm, you might discover that being with yourself can be just as comforting as being with friends. Sometimes, a quiet moment can feel like a gentle sigh of relief. Instead of feeling left out or alone, these pauses offer a chance to breathe and let your thoughts settle. In the stillness, everything becomes a little clearer, like wiping fog from a window. It's in these peaceful spaces that we often discover what truly matters to us, all without any need for noise or crowds. It's a common misconception to think that stepping away from a stressful situation means you're running away. In reality, choosing to move on is often about seeking peace and gaining a deeper understanding of yourself. It's like a stickman taking a thoughtful stroll, not fleeing, but heading toward a calmer, happier place. This shift is about growth, not avoidance. Remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk in the direction that feels right for you. Protecting your peace isn't a sign of weakness. It's actually a quietly fierce act of self-care. Sometimes stepping back or setting boundaries takes more courage than charging ahead. It means you value your well-being and know when to say no to unnecessary stress. So, remember, even the simplest stick figure can stand tall by choosing peace over chaos. It's perfectly okay to enjoy your own company or to be careful about who you let into your life. Choosing solitude doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It simply means you value your peace and happiness. Being selective with relationships is a sign of self-respect and understanding what truly matters to you. Remember, everyone has their own pace and preferences when it comes to connecting with others. Imagine a life where you move at your own pace, choosing kindness for yourself and others. Protecting your energy means saying no to what drains you and yes to what lifts you up. Surround yourself with people who make you feel valued and understood. Quality connections, even if few, are far more rewarding than a crowd of acquaintances. Remember, building a gentle life is not about doing less, but about choosing what truly matters. After 75 years of research, Harvard's happiness study reveals a surprising truth. Happiness isn't about how many friends you have, but how meaningful those connections are. It turns out, having a few close relationships matters much more than a long list of acquaintances. Quality time with people who truly care about us makes a bigger difference than any number. So, it's not about collecting friends like trading cards, but cherishing the ones who really stick by your side. Having a small circle of friends might seem simple, but it's actually a sign you're on the right track. Genuine connections matter far more than the number of people around you. By keeping your circle close and authentic, you're creating space for trust and understanding. Remember, protecting your peace is just as important as making new friends. Sometimes, less really is more.